Hello and welcome to Indie Business Podcast. I'm your host, Donna Maria, and you have arrived at the one place where we empower you to enjoy your life, build your business, and have your way. Today's show is sponsored by SoapEquipment.com, creative solutions for the handcrafted industry. Let SoapEquipment.com help you build your dream shop today. Contact them online at SoapEquipment.com or 765-886-4640. Well, as you know, I have sort of suspended the regular programming of my show temporarily, featuring lots of small business experts and authors, so we can focus more specifically on HR 5786, which is called the Safe Cosmetics Act of 2010. As you know, I was in Washington, D.C. on Capitol Hill last week, meeting with staffers in the offices of the original co-sponsors of this legislation. In case you don't know, and you should know, they are Representatives Jan Schakowsky in Illinois, Ed Markey in Massachusetts, and Tammy Baldwin in Wisconsin. Several other representatives have signed on to co-sponsor this legislation since it was introduced on July 21st. And we also met with staffers in Senator Feinstein's office because we understand that a Senate version of this legislation is forthcoming. Now, as you all know, we have been working hard to make sure that the visibility on this issue is increased and that our lawmakers and policymakers and consumers know that this piece of legislation really goes so much further than is necessary in order to ensure the safety of this nation's cosmetics supply. And so my focus, as of now, is on sharing some of the stories with you of the business owners, the small business owners, the woman business owners who are going to be impacted by this legislation and how they would be impacted by this legislation, and also what their thoughts and viewpoints are on how cosmetics laws can be changed in a positive way, ensuring the safety of the public without adversely impacting in an overburdensome way the small business owners in this country. Now, I want to let you know, too, that we have two guests on today's show. We've got one who's going to join us a little bit later on, but I want to kick things off with my first guest. Her name is Lauren Sheahan, and she is in Wisconsin, which, of course, is the home state of Tammy Baldwin, one of the original co-sponsors of this legislation. Lauren owns Lauress Cosmetics, which is a business, as I said, located in Wisconsin that manufactures cosmetics and most specifically mineral makeup, premium mineral cosmetics, and she says that her products answer consumer needs for non-irritating makeup products that look beautiful, have a lightweight feel, and exceptional coverage, and she's got lots of color. She is a wife and a mother, and her business is impacted by this new piece of legislation. Lauren, welcome to Indie Business Podcast.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So tell me, Lauren, what brought you into the cosmetics world? I know you had a career and lots of things going on before that. Tell us how you got into this industry.
Originally, I got into this industry sort of by accident, I guess. I had a very small child. She was 15 months old when we actually registered the business with the state. But the reason I got started was because postpartum, you know, your skin kind of has problems when you've just had a baby. You've got hormone fluctuations, and I was looking for something that would just perfectly match my skin and was just the right color, and I'd gotten into mineral makeup and was really impressed with the quality and the wearability, but I was having trouble finding exactly what I wanted. And so I decided to make my own, and from there it just kind of grew. I got really into the colors. I love the sparkle, the shimmer, the feel, the way it wears. It's everything about it just excites me, and it just really drives me. So,
Lauren, when did you start your business? What year was that?
Well, we registered our business originally in Minnesota in 2003, in August 2003, and for 2 years we were developing products. We put a lot of time into the research side. I really wanted to make sure that I knew what was going into my makeup, how it was going to react on the skin. I wanted the percentages right. I wanted the coverage right. I wanted it to be gentle but effective. I really wanted it to be more like traditional makeup in that it wasn't sheer and it wasn't dusty and it wasn't powdery, but it gave that nice polished finish that a woman wants. So I spent 2 years doing the research before we actually opened our web store. And during those 2 years, we did a couple of in-person sales. We did fundraising, boutique show type events in the local area. But we didn't actually start really selling until, I believe, January 2006.
And so you started this business now, I'm guessing, as a new mom. Before you started your business, you had other options. You could have maybe started a different kind of business or maybe even had a traditional job. Tell us about how that choice went for you.
Well, I do have a business degree from the University of Oregon, and I was focused on management and marketing, and I was originally in the HR, human resource field. I did have jobs doing consulting work and working in a corporate office. But when we had moved to Wisconsin, or we'd moved to Minnesota from Oregon right before we decided to start a family. And so with the transition, of course, jobs become difficult because you're new in the area, you don't know the companies. So after our daughter was born, I decided to stay home with her. But yes, originally I did have a business degree, business career, and I also I'm 4 credits short of a psychology degree. I originally, after business, I thought I'd go and be a counselor. And so that kind of ties in the whole, how I ended up where I ended up is I wanted to run a business, and I wanted to help women feel good about themselves, and I love the colors. I really do love the colors.
Lauren, what is the job market like where you live in Green Bay, Wisconsin?
Oh, the job market is not very good. No, it's not very good. I have a lot of friends who are out of work. We actually live in a smaller town outside of Green Bay, and unemployment's really high. It's very high, and it's very scary.
So would you describe, I mean, what would happen? Let's just say that something happened, whether it was this law or something else, and you weren't able to continue this business. What would that be like for you?
Since this law has been introduced, I've done a lot of thinking about that, actually, a lot of thinking, and I'm not sure what I would do. I've been I run a business, so you think I have all these marketable skills, but there's nothing really specific. It's like I couldn't go into marketing because I know some about marketing. I know how to find people who can help me with marketing. I know how to direct the marketing people. But I'm not. I'd have to go back to entry level, and I've been running a business for 7 years. I'm not sure anyone would be able to look at that and say, "Oh, we'll put you at the entry level." It's just tough because I'm not going to get hired as a CEO, which is what I am now. Right. So it's scary, and I think, gosh, I would probably be out of work for a very long time until I could.
It sounds like is it fair to say that your business is your work? I mean, it's like your job.
It's my life. I mean, it's more than my job. It's my job. It's my livelihood. It's my anchor. It's my passion. It's everything to me. I don't know how. If I couldn't do this, I don't know how I would stop thinking about it. It would be devastating to lose this.
So let's talk then a little bit about how your business has grown over the years. You started in 2003, and then for 2 years you put all of your energy into making your cosmetics what you wanted them to be, and you finally launched. And what has happened since then, Lauren?
At first, it's always a slow start. You know, if you build it, they will come isn't really true. You can't build a website and suddenly get 4 million hits. So it's a lot of work. But every year we have doubled our growth. Every year it's 100% increase. Well, at the beginning. The last couple of years it's just been kind of steady. Since the recession really hit in October 2008, the brakes sort of hit. And but before that we were growing very quickly. We had a lot of opportunities. We have international sales. We were really growing fast and making plans, and we moved into a very large facility in September of 2008, unfortunately, and in October of 2008 when the market crashed. And sales kind of leveled off.
So you moved into your own manufacturing facility.
Yes.
Okay, and so you have a business. You sell your products online.
Yes.
You rent, or do you own your manufacturing facility?
We rent it for now.
Rent it, and you've purchased obviously lots of equipment and things to put in there. Do you have any employees or staffers of any kind?
I do. We're down one employee because she went to college, but we used to have two, aside from the family members. Yeah, we have one lady works for us. She's absolutely fabulous. She's my rock.
So how many employees? I mean, is it you and her? Anybody else?
My husband, Chris.
Family business, right?
Family business. It's a family business, and then there was the other girl who just went to college, and we're going to miss her. But so it's very small. But we would like to hire more. Honestly, we have looked at hiring more. We're already feeling people out to see who'd be interested in. I mean, it's a small town, so you know everybody. But at this point, it doesn't seem fair to hire anybody until we know what's going to happen.
You mean with this legislation?
Exactly. It's kind of put everything on the brakes, you know.
And what do you do, like, in the holidays? Do you hire temporary help for rush season?
No, we just work longer hours.
Do you sell your products in retail stores?
No, we don't. We were about to get a very large distributorship in September of 2008, which is when we moved into the big facility, and then in October they lost their investment money.
So it sounds like, Lauren, that you started your business on the front end of what we now know is a recession.
Yes.
and you were doubling your sales, and then the economy sort of softened, but you have maintained your business.
We have, and I'm actually amazed and thrilled with our customers and their loyalty and their return business, and I know they're sharing our name because we still have probably 40% of every order is a new customer, or 40% of the orders we get are new customers, and I'm amazed at how many international customers we have. Without them, things would be a lot harder. And we call it, it's a good week when we're doing a lot of domestic orders. It's like, the economy might be picking back up because we have a lot of domestic orders. So we're always looking for that boost.
Now, what do you see amongst your friends and relatives in the Green Bay area, or just people that you know? Are people starting businesses there?
Actually, a really good friend of mine owns their own business, and they're experiencing the same kind of problems. They're growing because they're in the service industry, and service industry isn't taking as big a hit as consumer products and luxury items. But people who are starting their own businesses, and it's a struggle right now.
So when you talk about the difference between a service industry and, I guess, a manufacturing industry, you've noticed differences there?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Well, with service industry, the one specific that I'm thinking of is my friends own a janitorial service, and they service banks and local manufacturing facilities. And since they're working with established larger corporations, those people obviously need to have their stuff cleaned up. They need to be cleaned up. But even though those companies they're working with, the manufacturing companies, are losing business, they're shrinking because of the recession as well, they still need the services. And so that helps them keep growing. And whereas with manufacturing, if you don't have the sales, you shrink. And you have to make adjustments. You have to lay people off and make fewer products or cut back on your line or close facilities. But with service industries, those tend to be a little bit stronger because you always need an accountant. And for the businesses that are still in business, they need somebody to clean their carpets and make sure everything's clean, and they need somebody to do their accounting, and they need lawyers. And so service industry, I think, is going to be, if I was starting a business now, I'd probably do that.
Really? Okay.
Because manufacturing...
It's interesting that you say that, because obviously manufacturing on a grander scale in this country has moved overseas. So it's not all of it, but certainly a lot of it. So what you're doing, though, is manufacturing on a manufacturing your cosmetics in your state, and there are other companies that are manufacturing products on a small scale, I think, in Wisconsin and all across this country.
Yes. And there's one thing, we take pride in that. We make all our products here in the U.S. We use as many ingredients and components as we can that were made in the U.S. And if they're not made in the U.S., we make sure we use a U.S. broker so that we're at least spreading the money into our own economy. We try really hard to keep things here and strengthen the United States. And I think it's something we take a lot of pride in, being based in the U.S. And manufacturing. I mean, it is disappearing in this country, and if anything, manufacturing really needs to be encouraged and strengthened.
Well, we certainly agree with that, and I want to let everyone know, too, just in the interest of disclosure, that Lauren at Lauress.com is a member of the Indie Beauty Network, which is the trade organization that I founded 10 years ago to provide services to small companies like hers. So, Lauren, you're tooling along in your business, and things are, at least back then, you're doubling every year, which is astounding, and certainly says a lot about why you're doing so well now, even though the economy's a little bit soft. Tell us a little bit about. You joined the Indie Beauty Network. I think that was just a couple of years ago. But a while back, you also joined another organization. I want you to tell us what the name of that organization is, and we're going to come back and find out a little bit about how you became to be affiliated with them.
I joined the Campaign for Safe Cosmetics.
Right, and so that was 2000 what?
I'm not sure of the exact year. I know that we were a signer when our website went live. I first heard about them in late 04, early 05, but I'm not exactly sure when I broke down and signed.
It must have been, so it was after 2000.
It was before the website.
2005.
Right.
We are going to come back and talk with my guest today, Lauren Sheahan. She's the owner of Lauress Cosmetics in Green Bay, Wisconsin. You can visit her website at Lauress.com. That's spelled Lauress.com, and you can follow her on Twitter as well. We are going to come back and ask her some questions about how she joined the Campaign for Safe Cosmetics and became a compact signer, what it has meant to her business, and how she feels about being associated with that organization today, or at least she used to be associated with it. If you were a former compact signer, you might want to join the show and have some questions for Lauren. You can tweet them. You can visit twitter.com/OpposeSCA and tweet your questions there, and we'll be able to see them. You can join the discussion. This is Indie Business Radio. I'm your host, Donna Maria. We'll be right back.
Why is everyone listening to GlobalTalkRadio.com? Because it's the future of talk radio. Every day, more and more people are finding Internet radio as not just an alternative media, but as a replacement to traditional AM and FM broadcast stations. Internet radio offers a wider variety of programs, convenient on-demand listening that meets your schedule, and fewer commercial interruptions. And GlobalTalkRadio.com is already leading the way by matching this content with a highly targeted Internet audience. GlobalTalkRadio.com offers its listeners one of the widest programming varieties on the Internet, from business and finance to self-improvement, paranormal, health, literature, romance, politics, and more. There are also opportunities for prospective hosts who would like to host their own weekly or one-time talk shows. Want to learn more? Check us out at www.globaltalkradio.com and see the future of talk radio today.
Welcome back to Indie Business Podcast. I'm your host, Donna Maria, and today we are talking to Lauren Sheahan, a small-scale cosmetics manufacturer, United States manufacturer of cosmetics in Green Bay, Wisconsin. And we're talking about her journey. With the first segment of the show, she told us about how she started her business, what an inspirational story it is, and how amazing is it, Lauren, that in this country we are able, as wives, as moms of young children, in the middle of a recession, to start a business so that we can essentially create our own jobs, since the economy isn't creating them, and be able to take care of our families. It
is amazing. I'm amazed at how far we've come. I'm amazed at how far we've how much we've grown. And I love that I can set my own schedule, do my own hours, take care of my family at the same time, and make enough money to pay the bills.
Yeah.
It's important to do that.
So important in any economy to make enough money to pay those bills, but certainly in this one it's even more important. So, Lauren, at our break, you were telling us that you had become affiliated with the Campaign for Safe Cosmetics in around 2005. Tell us a little bit about that. How did you first hear about them?
Actually, I heard about them from a peer, an industry peer, another company owner that this was back when they first started. She mentioned them and said, this might be something we should look into because this is something that we all believe in.
Well, what was that exactly?
The compact for safe cosmetics.
Right, well, what was it that you believed in?
Oh, making safe cosmetics. We don't want to hurt people. we want people to have safe cosmetics. We want them to have non-irritating cosmetics. We want people to be able to buy their makeup and be beautiful without worrying about silly things like breaking out and having irritations or allergies and things like that. Safe.
So you joined. So what did you have to do to join? What was that process like, or what were you told?
Originally, this was back when they had very few signers. It was only one page of companies at that time. They hadn't even broken it down into alphabetical breakdowns yet. They just had one page of signers. I just emailed them and said, I'm interested in becoming a signer. And that was it. They said, welcome. And then... Did
they check your ingredients or anything first?
No.
Or did they ask you questions? Was there an application, or could you just become a signer?
Oh, gosh, it was so long ago. I believe it was a very simple process. There might have been a basic application of who are you, what do you do, what's your company, what's your focus, but I don't even remember filling that out. So it might have just been an email.
Okay.
So it might have been that simple. It was not a stressful process. It was not a thorough process. It was a quick process.
Okay.
And then
it didn't cost you anything, right? It was free?
No, it was free.
Okay. And what were you told would happen now that you were a signer?
Nothing. They didn't say anything. It was just welcome. And you get the impression that by signing, you'll be reaching more people, getting more business, encouraging people to buy from you. It was more of a marketing decision than anything else, really.
And how did you come to believe that? Was that something that you were told, or did it just look that way to you?
It just looked like a good group to join.
Okay.
It did. It looked like this can't hurt. This can only help. Back then, I know. Things have changed in my mind. At the time I signed, however, I'm going to have to say this, is I was skeptical of their science. I was hesitant to sign. I'm not a company that was founded because of toxic chemicals. I've never commented on toxic chemicals. I don't believe in the toxic chemical theory. I know there are some things people react to and have sensitivities to and don't want to put on their skin for personal reasons or ethical reasons, but I don't believe in the toxic chemical scare.
So let's try, and I'm so not a chemist, but I'm going to try to draw an analogy. You tell me if this is fair. I was at the yogurt shop the other day, and there was a big sign on the counter that said, these products contain or may contain peanut oil. So I remember looking at that. We don't have any peanut allergies in my family, so I wasn't concerned about that. But as I looked at that sign, I thought, well, you know what? Then if my son was allergic to peanuts, then peanuts would be toxic for him.
Right.
But that doesn't make peanuts toxic in and of themselves, such that it should be like every product containing peanuts should be pulled off the market.
Exactly.
Is that sort of what you mean by what you described as the, I'm not a fan of the, what did you call it, the toxic something?
The toxic chemical scare.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. I don't believe that there are corporations out there trying to kill their consumers for shampoo. I understand that there are some chemicals out there that people have irritations from, and depending on percentages can be a problem. But I don't buy into the idea that corporations are trying to harm their consumers for $1. I just don't think that.
How did this become something that you began to think about as a compact signer?
Well, I was thinking about it before I signed. It was before I signed, and it became I don't want to use the scare tactics to sell products. I kept saying that to myself. This isn't what my business is based on. My business is based on beauty and feeling good about yourself and giving you strength and power to go out and do what you need to do without worrying about how you look. That's what I wanted it to be about.
You were thinking about this back in 2005, 2006 when you first signed?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And that was important to me. And it took me a long time before I would sign the compact. But what happened is I looked at the list of people who had signed it. And as I said, back then there was only one page of signers, maybe 100 people or 100 companies. And I saw a company that I respected on there, Jane Iredale, Mineral Cosmetics. And I said, well, I respect Jane Iredale. I think that that's a good company. It's a good product. I'll do it because I trust them. And I did. I signed it. I said, well, they're a large corporation. They probably know what they're doing. And so I signed it. But before that, I was very hesitant. I was very hesitant to join a company or a organization that was saying corporations are trying to kill you.
So what did you do next once you signed? What sorts of things began to happen? And I should mention too that I think it's Wednesday afternoon. The Campaign for Safe Cosmetics is going to be hosting a webinar. Well, they called it a webinar at first, but now it's a call in the afternoon. And if you're a compact signer, you've probably gotten an email message about that. And so for those of you who are listening, if you have questions, you can obviously ask them of the people that are hosting that call if you want to hear from them what they're doing with respect to this law or with the industry in general. But if you are a former compact signer, you may not be able to join that call, and so you might want to listen in here and post some questions in the comments area or even post them if you're listening live. So, Lauren, you had a little bit of misgivings, but you went ahead and signed. And then, so what happened? Did you start getting emails? Did you put your products in the database? Well, what sorts of things began to happen after you joined?
Back then, there wasn't the product database like it is now.
Okay.
It was later that they said, now you need to enter your products and your ingredients.
So this was explained to you
later.
After you, so there was no mention of this when you first joined.
Right.
Okay.
And then it became more bureaucratic, I'm going to say, because suddenly there were all these rules. If you want to stay on the signer list, you have to enter in your products. You have to enter in your ingredients. You have to enter in your percentages if it's a cosmetic that is or being sold as a drug, an over-the-counter drug, so sunscreens or antiperspirants. Then
you didn't know that at first at all?
They didn't do that back then.
Okay.
No, that wasn't part of it yet.
So what were you told about why you had to do that? And did you do it?
I did it. I did. And I was not happy about it because it took a lot of time. And, of course, their the system to enter it is cumbersome and slow and not very intuitive, and it's a terrible process because you have to enter every single product. I entered it in product segments when I entered my products rather than saying eyeshadow, Oasis eyeshadow, or which is a blue eyeshadow, or breaking it down into the colors. I just said, here's our shimmer eyeshadows, gem lights are here, and this is what they contain in a may contain kind of setup, whereas on our website we sell every single product with the ingredients specific to that product labeled out.
So you began to enter your ingredients and your products and things into the database,
right.
And how was that information used by them?
Well, they rate your ingredients based on how safe they think they are. And then
what do they base those ratings on? What are there scientific studies?
According to their website, they draw the information from multiple locations, databases, and studies.
Do they provide you with those studies so you can see them as they're being produced, or do you just suddenly find out about them one day?
You just find out about it. Yeah, they don't give you any information about how they're rating your products. They don't tell you if they change a rating or why.
So so let me make sure I understand. You could log into the database today and add a bunch of stuff and have a particular rating, and then go back tomorrow and it's changed, but you get no notice of it?
Correct. I've had that happen many times.
Do you get an email, or,
No.
Is there an explanation?
No explanation, no email.
And is this information available to the public?
Everybody.
Totally? Anybody can see this?
According to their website, there have been, they have the number, it's like 100 million searches since 2004, something like that.
Okay. So, what would you do? Would you call and say, why is my rating different? How come you didn't tell me? What do you do when that happens? That seems unusual to me, that an organization would invite you to join and then do things that hurt your business without at least letting you know first.
Well, I know some companies have called and asked. It's not a very productive discussion. The ratings don't change. You can argue with them. You can show them scientific studies that show your ingredients should have a better rating, but it doesn't really have any effect. I think I know one company that has had results, maybe. Or else they changed all their formulas. I just know their numbers went back down. But no, there's not much you can do. And their ratings changed. Last year, titanium dioxide got a higher rating, and zinc and mica got a low being good, low being safe, a low rating. This year it's reversed. The titanium dioxide has gone down. They've changed their mind about that. And zinc oxide and mica are now not as safe as they were last year. So it just switches based on...
Do you participate in those discussions at all? Like, do they say, here's a study that changes the course of events and we have to do this, or does it just happen?
It just happens.
Okay. All right. Well, that's okay. So how did that make you feel?
Frustrated. It's very frustrating because I spent 7 years creating products that have changed people's lives. They email me about how their skin is so much clearer and they're so much happier and there's less irritation, and then I'm being told that my products are hazardous. And the basis for this statement is scientific studies that have absolutely nothing to do with the grade or type of ingredient I'm using. It could be based on, they base it on if it's a nanoparticle, but they don't ask if it's a nanoparticle.
Okay.
They just assume, and you can try and argue with them, and maybe they'll change it after you argue with them, but how do you know it's changed? Because they haven't contacted you. You have to actually log in and babysit your product line, basically.
That's a whole other website for you to manage there.
Yeah, who has time for that? I didn't know.
That's an interesting question in terms of time. I know that the law that they're backing require a whole lot in terms of manufacturers, in terms of time, without any real benefit to consumers. Although to consumers it looks that way,
yes,
because of some of the things that they've been told. On the front end, which is sort of similar to what happened to you in some respects. But we're going to take a break and come back and talk more with Lauren Sheahan of Lauress.com in Wisconsin about her experiences as a signer of the Compact for Safe Cosmetics. This is the Indie Business Podcast. I'm your host, Donna Maria. We'll be right back.
Want to stay on top of what's new in the radio industry? Sign up for a free subscription to the Future of Talk Radio, available exclusively to listeners of globaltalkradio.com, and find out what's new in the world of online radio. Listeners can find out about new shows and special guests. People with something special to offer can find out how to become a guest and how to prepare for an interview. And prospective hosts will find a valuable resource for everything from planning their new program to selecting topics and guests, recouping expenses by selling advertising, and more. Sign up today for your free subscription to the Future of Talk Radio by visiting www.globaltalkradio.com and learn about the future of talk radio today.
Welcome back to the Indie Business Podcast. I'm your host, Donna Maria. We're talking today with Lauren Sheahan in Green Bay, Wisconsin, about the impact or the potential impact of H.R. 5786 on her business. And one of the things we were talking about just a second ago, Lauren, is the data entry requirements for being a compact signer. And you were saying you see some parallels there with what this bill contains?
Yes, I do. If you read the bill, it mentions that there will be a way of entering all your products, any changes in the ingredients, all the data that we're supposed to be registering through, I believe they said it was through the Internet or electronically, basically. And having used the EWG system for the campaign for Safe Cosmetics and trying to enter, as I said, I didn't break down my products into specific products. I just did it by groups, so shimmer eyeshadow, matte eyeshadow, rather than the specific colors. Mm-hmm. And it took a long time. It took a really long time to enter in all my information, and it pretty much I have to devote an entire day to updating it. It takes a long time, and this is just for product groupings. This isn't doing every individual product. And the idea that this would have to be done every time I change a product, or a percentage of an ingredient in a product, or a color, or add a new product, or anything, to have to do something so time-consuming. It's not very automated. You have to enter in every single ingredient, it has to be typed in manually. It's really cumbersome and not user-friendly.
And so what you would also, you mentioned that the EWG is the Environmental Working Group, correct?
Yes.
And they work with the Campaign for Safe Cosmetics, which is a consortium of different.
It was my understanding. Yeah, it was my understanding originally that the Compact for Safe Cosmetics was part of the EWG. It was just sort of a segment. I'm not so sure anymore, but that was, when I signed, that was my understanding, is that they were pretty much one and the same, but this was the cosmetics division, was how I pictured it. But now I'm not sure.
Okay. All right, so you would also, do you know, in addition to disclosing all of your ingredients and portions of ingredients and chemicals contained in ingredients, have to disclose all of your suppliers and their contact information?
That's correct. You would have to enter in all your suppliers. And as a small company, suppliers change often for us. We're not Procter & Gamble, where they create a shampoo and it's the same shampoo and probably the same suppliers, because they need large quantities for years. We change suppliers monthly. I mean, if even, maybe more often.
And also, whenever you have workers that come to your facility, if you hire someone, or if for example, you just mentioned that one of your employees went back to college, exactly, you would have to put that into disclosure as well.
That's correct. The bill requires registering your workers, which I already do with the state. So it would just be a double step.
Right. So you'd have to disclose it to two agencies, and well, at least two, really. And your gross sales receipts would have to be disclosed as well, which I'm assuming you already disclosed those when you pay your taxes.
Yes, that's right.
So there are some things that you would have to do in terms of paperwork, which is always a challenge for small business owners.
Yes.
And do you see any corresponding benefit to your customers for you having to disclose all that information?
No. It wouldn't impact my customers at all. It wouldn't change how we interact. It wouldn't change with them and customer service level. It wouldn't change the way we create our products, make our products, package our products. It wouldn't change what we put in our products. It would not make a difference to our consumers at all. It would just be, well, except for the fact that it would take a lot longer to get my products out the door, so they'd have to wait longer for their orders to show up.
Now, Lauren, tell me, when did you decide that you no longer wanted to be a compact signer? Did that happen at a particular point in time, or was that a gradual process? How did that come to be?
As I mentioned, I was always hesitant to sign. I became very annoyed at the whole prospect of entering in all my products because of the time involved when I had to register all my products and all my ingredients, and it took so much time. I contemplated, is this worth it? But I did it. And then I added some products, and I didn't add them to the compact. And after about a year, they said, you haven't updated, and we're going to remove you as a signer. And on the website, they call non-signers basically toxic chemical companies. So I was like, okay, well, they'll just kick me off. And that solves that. And then that didn't happen. And it just said non-compliant next to my name. So I said finally, about a month ago, I think I'll just update it. I know they have a new requirement that I'm never going to be able to meet, but they weren't kicking people off for that yet. And that is that they want you to send in safety studies for every ingredient you use. And that's just not possible for a company my size to do. So I knew that eventually they would remove us, and I was kind of just waiting for that to happen. But I did update all my products, and I was full member status again, and then this legislation came out, and they sent me an email the day after I found out about the legislation. They sent me an email talking about how great it was that they had successfully gotten this bill introduced, and I sent an email right back and said, take me off your list. I don't agree with this at all. It hurts our business.
You learned about the legislation, you had asked to be removed?
As soon as I learned about the legislation.
You just figured that you would be removed because they kept saying they were going to remove you.
Yeah, well, eventually, I thought eventually they would take us off. They kept sending me emails saying, if you don't bring your company up to compliant status, we're going to have to remove you because we want to keep the database relevant. And I waited and waited and waited, and it never happened. So I just said, fine, I'll update it. And that took all day, an entire day, to just update a couple products. It's very time-consuming. And then after I got that email, I was very frustrated with the legislation. I was very frustrated with the idea that my business would most likely not be around if it passes. I don't see how we could survive with the requirements. I mean, there's only, like I said, there's two of us here. Two of us.
So are you still officially a compact signer, or have they removed you?
They did remove me. It took several emails.
Okay.
But they did remove us from the compact signers, but they did not remove our products from the database.
Okay, so like right now I'm at savecosmetics.org, and I tooled around a little bit, and I eventually got to a link that said visit Skin Deep, which seems from their website is EWG's Skin Deep database, but it's housed with a link from savecosmetics.org. And so I'm going to type in your business name right here. Is that what I do? I'm search for a product, ingredient, or company.
Just put in Lauress.
In Lauress, and I see your company name comes up, and it says 34 products. It says this company has not signed the compact. You're a non-signer. Right. This company's animal testing policy is unknown. It says ingredients by this company, used by this company, and then cancer is checked. Yeah. Allergies and immunotoxicity is checked, and also other concerns for ingredients used by this company, persistence and bioaccumulation, organ system toxicity, non-reproductive, multiple additive exposure sources, irritation, skin, eyes, or lungs, enhanced skin absorption, occupational hazards, biochemical or cellular level changes. All of those things have a check by them where your company is concerned.
That's correct.
Can you do anything about that?
I'm trying to. Actually, I am trying to every day. I have contacted the Campaign for Safe Cosmetics and said, after you removed me from the compact signer list, why weren't my products removed? And they said they don't actually have any control of that. It's the EWG, and the EWG's policy is if the information is readily available, then they're going to keep it on there. And since we have been consumer-friendly and always listed all of our ingredients on our website, they have chosen to keep our products on there, saying that we're hazardous to people. Even though I know from all the research I did before I started my business that those things have to do with occupational hazards, not consumer use.
Okay, no, but it doesn't seem that way. If I'm a consumer, and and really I am a consumer, but let's be fair, I'm also the president of the trade organization. But when I go to this and I see this, or I can imagine many of my friends seeing this would say, well, I'm not going to use those products because they'll give me cancer.
I wouldn't buy it. I wouldn't either. As a consumer, I'd be like, oh, there's a 7, which is the silica, and we use silica in such a small amount of it. It's not as if you're in the mines breathing it in 8 hours a day or
Right.
40 hours a week. It's just from an MSDS sheet that it says that.
All right. Well, this is all. It's interesting to see actually how it plays out in the database and what consumers are actually seeing and what they're being told, and that your company has no ability to, at least so far in your experience, to remove this information or to even challenge it in any way from a factual basis.
Well, an interesting thing is if you look at our rating, it says our products are a 0 to a 5, depending on the product. A year ago, they were all greens. They were all 0 to 2.
Have your ingredients changed?
No.
So
No.
So this is a function of what you said earlier, which is things change and you get no notice and you don't have any advance notice at all. So in other words, if a study came out that required them to change that, they don't let you know about it a few months in advance so you can change your formulation or at least have that option so you don't get downrated.
Exactly. You have no notice. You have no options. Another interesting
Imagine
point,
having the federal government with that kind of control.
Yeah. Well, an interesting point is that when a study comes out and says this ingredient is hazardous, they downgrade your ratings. But if a study comes out and says the exact same ingredient is not hazardous, it doesn't affect it at all.
Oh, they don't upgrade you?
No.
Oh.
I think the only ingredient I've ever seen change in a positive way was titanium dioxide, and that was because of the sunscreen factor, because there has to be something we can protect our skin with the sun. So,
how did you find out about HR 5786, the Safe Cosmetics Act of 2010? Interestingly named for exactly the same way that this organization we're talking about is called. But how did you find out about it?
Facebook. Facebook, I believe.
So you signed the compact. They are the Safe Campaign for Safe Cosmetics, the special interest group, or one of them behind this legislation, and you were a compact signer, but you did not get any advance notice of this?
No advance notice.
At all?
No request for input, no, none at all.
So I was thinking earlier today, this week, they're going to have a conference call to talk about this issue with their compact signers, but that didn't happen. No opportunity was given to do that beforehand?
Not that I received. Maybe they've asked other companies, but I'm terrible at clearing out my email, and I sorted through and read every email I've received from them in the last 2 years, and I did not get asked for input.
Okay.
So
tell me this now. You have asked to be removed, and I think tell me about that process. How is that going right now?
To be removed from the database is not going well. As I said, I've requested it from the Campaign for Safe Cosmetics. They eventually removed us from the compact, but not from the database. And I've been in contact with one of the people at the Campaign for Safe Cosmetics, and she said that they forwarded my request to the EWG, because the EWG controls Skin Deep database, not the Campaign for Safe Cosmetics. And she has continued to try and she's actually trying to help us get our name removed, or at least that's what she's telling me. But we have not been removed yet. And
your understanding that if your name is removed, that all of this that your name will be removed entirely. And the reason I'm asking that is because I know a company who asked to have her name removed many months ago, and was actually told that her name was removed. And I'm going to look her up right now while we're talking here on the show. And it looks like all of her products have been removed. It says 0 products, but her company name is still there. And it says this company has not signed the compact. This company does not test on animals. That's there, but the company itself is still listed here.
Correct.
So is there any way to just not have your name searchable in this database at all?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I have no idea. I'm impressed that she had her products removed. I know they used to be able, company owners used to be able to delete their own products. Now it has to be approved. I've tried that. My last product updates weren't approved. I don't know why. They just didn't implement them. I updated an ingredient that we had removed from a product, and it was never removed on the database because they didn't approve it. So it's impossible to control the information that we voluntarily input.
Right.
So,
okay.
Even if it's inaccurate, we can't correct it without getting it approved.
Okay. And I would imagine that just trying to correct inaccuracies is, what is that like for your small business?
Time-consuming, very time-consuming. As I said, I spent an entire day trying to update, add a couple products, and correct some inaccuracies. And the inaccuracies were because we had removed a specific ingredient from a current product line.
Right.
It was just because it wasn't working the way we wanted it to. We removed it, and if you look on our listing, it still says it's in there, and we can't seem to even get that. Now that we've been removed as a compact signer, I don't even know if I can sign in to the Skin Deep database as a company owner.
Well, I guess you'll have to take some time and find that out, unfortunately, won't you? This has been a great conversation with Lauren Sheahan of Lauress.com, located in Green Bay, Wisconsin. And, Lauren, I think that conference call with the campaign, is it Wednesday? I think it's Wednesday the 11th. I can't remember. But if you're a compact signer and you're listening, maybe this will give you some idea of some questions that you might be able to ask them if you're allowed to ask questions, or if there's enough time to get to yours. I would imagine this might be a well-attended call. Lauren, any final thoughts on HR 5786 before we go?
All I can say is don't pass it. Any Congress people out there, if you're listening, don't pass it. It's going to destroy so many small businesses, and we're trying so hard just to survive.
Well, thank you for those final thoughts, Lauren. I hope you've enjoyed today's edition of the Indie Business Podcast. We're going to put this up at the website at opposesca.com, where we also have the podcast that was recorded just a few days after this bill was introduced with some other small business owners from across the nation who are affected by this legislation. Stay tuned to Indie Business Podcast. For more information, visit opposesca.com to sign the petition and to donate, and follow the OpposeSCA hashtag to keep up with the latest news and information where HR 5786 is concerned. Thank you, Lauren, for being our guest. Thank you for joining me today on the podcast. I'll see you next week. Until then, enjoy your life, build your business, and have your way.
You're listening to GlobalTalkRadio.com.